All right, I think we'll get started. I want to start slow, so if anybody else joins in, they'll be okay. They'll just be able to find their way in. So I want to start lying down, and we'll do some Supta Padangusthasana as kind of an easy way in. And so if you have a belt or strap, that would be useful. In any case, go ahead and lie down on your back. It's a little complicated getting all of the angles for the camera here for me, since I'm going to be lying down and standing up. So some of them may be imperfect, but I think it's going to mostly show. Like, for example, you're not going to see my feet when I stretch out here, but I don't think that's terribly critical. So just extend out on your back. Just take your time. Lengthen the legs. Tighten the kneecaps into the thighs. Move the back of the knees and thighs into the floor. Big toes together. Lift the inner edge of the shoulder blades, outer shoulders, outer deltoids into the floor. And then hug that right knee up into the chest as you extend the left heel away. Just our usual little comfortable, I guess this would be called Ardha Pavan Muktanasana, but upward facing. So sort of a Ardha Urdhva Pavan Muktanasana. Half upward facing Pavan, which I'm not sure what that means. And then switch to the left leg. Hug the left knee into the chest. Extend the right heel. Keep the sacrum, left and right sides evenly on the floor. Shoulder blades evenly on the floor. Keep that right kneecap firm into the thigh, back of the knee into the floor. And then switch back to the right side, moving through Supta Tadasana. Bring that right knee up, extend the left heel away. Left and right sides of the sacrum, even on the floor, left and right shoulder blades, even on the floor. As you do this, then keeping the kneecap of that left leg firm into the thigh. Also extend the big toe mound. And bring a little internal rotation into that left thigh, so the inner left thigh moves to the floor. In a kind of circularized way, spiraling that left thigh, the skin and muscles. So the thigh bone itself goes right down into the floor, but then the skin and muscles kind of circularize, spiral around that left thigh bone. And then moving through Supta Tadasana, take the second side, changing the interlace of the fingers, draw that left knee up into the chest, extend that right heel, tighten the kneecap into the thigh, back of the knee and thigh into the floor. Once again, then extend now the right big toe mound, internally circularize the skin and muscles of that right thigh. And then return to Supta Tadasana. Take your belt if you have, belt or strap. Put it around the ball of the right foot. And extend that right foot up. No need to test the hamstring here. We're just getting comfortable with the movements, the actions. So again, have your elbows on the floor and just holding the strap. comfortably. Tighten both kneecaps into the thighs. Extend both heels. So imagine you're extending your left heel into a wall, your right heel into the ceiling. Then press up a bit more with that right big toe mount. And again, internally circularize that right thigh. Same with the left. Extend that left big toe mound and internally circularize the left thigh. And then return to Supta Tadasana. Switch the belt to the left foot, ball of the left foot. Bring that left leg up. Same thing, holding the straps, one strap with each hand, elbows on the floor. Extend both legs straight, kneecaps firm into the thighs. Imagine you're pressing your left heel into the ceiling, your right heel into a wall. And then press that right big toe mound into that imaginary wall and internally circularize that skin and muscles of that right thigh. Press that left big toe mound into the ceiling, internally circularize skin and muscles of that left thigh. Sacrum stays even on the floor, shoulder blades even on the floor, back of the head centered, evenly, symmetrically balanced onto the floor. Back to Supta Tadasana, switch the belt back to the right foot, bring the right leg up. Same thing, elbows on the floor, one hand on each strap, extend both legs straight, tighten the kneecaps into the thighs, left thigh moves into the floor, right thigh moves toward the wall, your wall facing the back of your leg. Press the big toe mound of the right foot up and internally circularize the skin and muscles of that thigh. Same with the left leg, extend the big toe mound and internally circularize the skin and muscles of that thigh. So now we'll change it up a bit. You reach up with your right hand to hold both straps. But keep your right shoulder blade on the floor. Now we're going to externally rotate that right leg and thigh, turning the right foot out just a bit. Keep the left leg stable, extended, and pressing into the floor. And now, keeping the right heel in the plane in which it resides, bring that right foot over to the right side. Keeping the left sacrum, left thigh on the floor. Both kneecaps firm into the thighs. You're still extending both heels. Supta Padangusthasana 2. And then back up to center. And return to Supta Tadasana. Switch the belt to the left foot. Bring that left leg up. Again, elbows on the floor. Extend both legs straight. Kneecaps into the thighs. Press the back of that right thigh into the floor. Back of the left thigh moves toward the wall it's facing. Extend that left big toe mound up and internally circularize the skin and muscles of the left thigh. Extend the right big toe mound and internally circularize the skin and muscles of that right thigh. And then we reach up on the strap, holding both straps with just your left hand. Now we externally rotate that left thigh, turning the left foot out, and take that left leg across to the left side, keeping the right side of the sacrum, thigh, hip on the floor. Supta Padangusthasana 2. Keep both kneecaps firm into the thighs. Keep extending those heels. Keep extending the big toe mounds. And then back up to center. Release the strap. And then just let your legs and feet fall out to the sides and just be at ease here for a few breaths. All right, we'll come to a seated posture. Trikonasana. Now, everybody's different with the bound angle pose. The idea is to have the top ridge of your pelvis at the same height as your knees. So as you can see with me here, unwarmed up and kind of tight as I am in this pose, I'm not really there. So I'm going to sit on a little bit more height. So now I'm close. I'm not quite there. If I was really going to be honest here, I would probably go a little higher. And you can see, if this is the top ridge of my hips, you know, I'm getting there. With a little bit of warming up in the pose, I'll be okay. So now hands on the floor, fingertips on the floor, so you can kind of really sit upright. You know, no matter how much practice you put into this, if you look at that side view, you know, it's kind of hard not to kind of be, you can see the little bit of roundedness. And even if I'm putting a little effort into it, it stays rounded. And you really want to get to where you're almost exaggerating the lift. So you really want to lift, you know, kind of examine yourself as to where your roundness is, where your it kind of demonstrates as a lack of energetic flow, I would say. And so you look for that. And sometimes it can be helpful to do your poses in front of a mirror so you can actually see it. Or here, you know, where you can look. But of course, you can't really see your side angle, but same thing. You can get some practice by reviewing. Where do you seem to lack some energy? For me, I can see it kind of right up here. There's a little bit of sort of a congestion, I would say. So I want to work on that. One way you could do, you're going to externally rotate the upper arms. Bring the deltoids back. Bring the inner edge of the shoulder blades forward. Press the heels together in your bound angle pose. Trikonasana. And now, I'm going to take the left hand to the right knee or thigh. Right hand goes behind. Keep the torso lifting. Inhale. And with the exhale, twist to the right. Keep the jaw at ease. You want to be doing the pose in such a way that you're fully involved, engaged in the pose, but you could talk as I am. You want to be able to do that. Now, sometimes we want to push ourselves to a point where that might not be possible. That's fine. But for the moment, you want to be in the pose in a state where you can have a certain calmness, and where if you wanted to, you could have a conversation. And then back to face forward. Again, kind of reset that nice upright posture. And then we'll switch. We take the right hand to the left knee, the left hand goes behind. Keep that lift and openness in the chest. Inhale, and then with the exhale, twist left. and then face back forward and get that reset again. So as I promised in the invitation of the class, this is a class about triangle pose. Of course, we haven't done any triangle pose yet, but the idea here is that we're sort of doing some of the elements. So we did that Padangusthasana 2, which is very much, as you know, like triangle pose, only a triangle pose being upright. But you get some of the same muscle action and movement as we do in triangle pose. Here, we're trying to open up the groins and at the same time find some twisting action. So those two things are very much involved in triangle pose. So we'll put that into the triangle pose later. So be aware as we do this little sequence that these things will come to play when we do triangle pose. Okay, twisting to the right again, left hand on right knee, right hand goes behind. Keep the torso lifted, chest open, inhale, exhale, twist to the right. Find that calm, even breath here. Look for every area in the spine that you can turn, twist comfortably, but from the base of the spine, the tailbone, right up through to the crown of the head, turn. And back to center. Again, reset that nice upright structure. And then we twist to the left. So right hand on left knee, left hand goes behind. Inhale, lift, open the chest. Exhale, twist to the left. Spiral the spine from the tailbone right up through to the crown of the head. And then back to face forward. Again, reset your nice upright Trikonasana. And then extend your legs forward in Dandasana, staff pose. Okay, so now I'm going to stand up. And in fact, everybody can stand up. Take a standing posture. But for a moment, just kind of watch. We'll see how this works. I'm planning to just demonstrate a couple of things. So the first thing is, this may seem like, I think in some cultures this would be quite insulting, but here in the West, I think we can do anything we want. So I'm going to put my foot up here. So the idea, this is something that you all are familiar with, but not everybody really is. And for new people, it's especially good. When we do the poses, any of the standing poses, we want to really expand across the ball of the foot. So as you're standing there, you take Tadasana and just feel that expansion. As we sometimes say, and we will in a few moments, you lift the ball of the foot and you spread out the ball of the foot and spread your toes. And the same thing, you can't really see it, but you want to like spread the heel, widen the heel. Now, doing that action may not actually create any visible change. The ball of the foot, it does. You can spread the toes, you can spread the ball of the foot, and you can see it. The heel, not so much, but there's still an action there. So we want the length and the width across the ball of the foot and across the sole of the foot. Now, I want to talk about one other thing with the foot, which we'll get to later when we do triangle pose. So the back foot is going to be turned out. And as the back foot is turned out, one instruction I'll give is to lift the inner ankle. So the inner ankle will kind of lift. It lifts this way and this way, especially this way. So when we do the pose, you'll think about that. When I say lift the inner ankle, I'm trying to make more space here. So this kind of goes in and up for the back leg. And it'll be easier to see when we're doing it. So now the other thing is the knee. So I'm going to stand as close as I can and still keep the picture there. So we want to think about the knee as a box, almost a cube, really kind of a cube. So you've got the left and right front, left and right bottom, the same in the back, left and right, top and bottom, and the same on the sides, left and right, front and back, inner, same thing. So it's like a cube. So if you think about the kneecap as a cube, then we're going to want to expand it. Again, just like the heel, it doesn't really expand physically, but there is an action involved in trying to make that happen. Now, the other thing we want to do is lift the kneecap into the thigh. So in the normal state, for most of us, some people have really tight tendons that keep it locked up all the time. But for most of us, if you keep your thigh at ease, your kneecap will move around. Now, if you tighten the thigh, tighten the kneecap into the thigh, then it won't move. Again, some people have really tight tendons and it doesn't move at all. But almost everybody has a loose kneecap until you tighten it into the thigh. So this is something to be aware of. So we're going to be tightening the kneecap into the thigh, and we're going to be thinking about how to expand that box, make it bigger, especially in back. We want to find a way to kind of widen the back of the knee space. So those are just things to keep in mind as we do. Now the other thing, again, as you're standing in your Tadasana, and you have your kneecaps firm into your thighs, then we want to do that internal rotation of the thigh. So if you press your big toe mounds into the floor, then you can internally rotate the skin and muscles. There's not a lot of action here. We'll see that action more later. But as you do that, you press the big toe mounds into the floor, you can feel a full engagement through the buttocks, through the glutes, and the outer hips sometimes. Okay, so just be at ease. Take a few breaths there. I have notes that I'm checking, so I want to make sure I get everything. One other thing. So, the back foot in triangle pose. It'll be turned out a bit. We want to put emphasis on the little toe edge of the back foot. So this has to be really firmly down. And that's connected to the ankle thing. So that if this is firmly extending down, then we're going to lift this ankle in and up. So that's just another little piece of it. So there's a lot of information on just what to do with your feet and your lower body. We've already done some of the upper body stuff, and we'll get to a little bit more of that momentarily. Okay. So stand in Tadasana. Hands on hips. Feet together. For people who are uncomfortable with that or who have low back issues, feet apart is okay, but parallel to each other. And then let's lift the ball of the right foot, lengthen the ball of the foot away from the heel, widen the ball of the foot, spread the toes, take the toes and the ball of the foot back down. Same with the left leg. Lift the ball of the foot, widen across the ball of the foot, spread the toes, and then roll those toes back down. Now your big toes should be touching. If not, you can just kind of reach down and put them together. If possible, your heels are touching, and if possible, your ankles are touching as well. Now then, We're going to tighten the kneecaps into the thighs, as we discussed before. Now with your heels on the floor, we want to do that action of widening, spreading, opening the heels. Again, that's hard to quite know what that means because you won't really feel any movement, but do it anyway. Then shift your weight back toward your heels. It becomes a little unstable, and you bring your thighs back, and now you press your big toe mounds into the floor, and you do that internal circularizing of the thighs. And then bring your elbows back toward each other so you get a nice expansion of the chest. Extend those heels down. Keep your hips centered over your heels so there's a little instability there, except that when you extend the big toe mounds down, you regain that stability. And then press down with the fourth toe mounds. So there's a lot going on there now. Lift the torso, underside of the chin, parallel to the floor, soft gaze forward. And then the 8 eighths. Okay, I'm going to turn my mat. For today's block, I am using The Hindus, An Alternative History by Wendy Donager. It's a really good sort of introductory text to an alternative view of Hinduism and Hindus. It's quite good. So to the extent that I need to use a block, I will using Wendy Donager. Okay, so let me just check my notes again just for a moment. So let's come into Tadasana, hands on hips. Long and wide across the soles of the feet, kneecaps firm into the thighs. Weight balanced a bit over the heels, thighs back. Extend the big toe mounds down, internally rotate the skin and muscles of the thighs. Elbows back to help you lift and open the chest. Now bring your fingertips up to touch, and then separate the feet widely. Keep the feet parallel to each other, pointing forward. Let's go again with hands on hips, so we don't get too tired. So now as we're here, explore that little toe edge of the feet. The little toe edge of the feet kind of secure the posture into the floor. Now, as you're doing that, you can see, I think you can feel a little bit more how you can lift the inner ankle, kind of up and out. And this also helps you bring a lift into the inner thighs and groin. And from there, we want to lift the torso up off the hips. Keep the kneecaps firm into the thighs, keep the thighs moving back. A little bit of lift in the front pelvic bone. Now, I don't want to say to tuck the tailbone, but you want kind of the pelvic floor and the tailbone to be kind of looking straight down at the floor. And you can get that with just a little bit of lift in the front pelvic bones. Okay, and then bring the feet back together. It's a lot of work to do all of those little details. Right, take your Tadasana, long and wide across the soles of the feet, kneecaps firm into the thighs, internal rotation, the skin and muscles, elbows reaching back toward the hips, and toward each other so that the chest is open. Let's bring the fingertips up to touch. Separate the feet widely. Get that little toe edge of the foot firmly down into the floor. Get that lift in the ankles. Now I'm going to do the opposite of what I say so that when I do the pose, I'll be facing into that side mirror, that side camera. So turn your right foot out 90 degrees. Turn the left foot in just a bit. And now again, with that back foot, the little toe edge kind of plants firmly down, and the ankle lifts up and in, or in and up, wide across the soles of the feet. Getting a cramp in my left calf there. So if you do get a cramp, you can just bring your heel, your toes up to get that calf cramp out. Okay. Kneecap firm into the thigh. And now we're going to look at that thigh, that knee, and it usually is pointing in, inside the big toe. So we want to, keeping this thigh firm, externally rotate that left thigh and knee so that the knee is pointing at the foot. Now that will typically bring this hip in, so we have to then reassert to bring this hip and thigh back while keeping the external rotation on this forward leg. Bring the arms up. Inhale. Exhale, extend, and come into an easy version of the pose. Don't go far down. Just stay comfortable so that you can just place yourself in the lateral plane. And then inhale and come up. We'll stay in longer in a moment. But I want to work each piece of this into the full pose. Okay, turn the left foot out. Turn the right foot in. Just a bit. Use that little toe edge of the foot to kind of firmly place the foundation of the pose. Lift and lift in and up with that inner ankle. Here, the kneecap firm into the thigh, externally rotated, so the kneecap points at the foot. Hips and shoulders face back forward. Bring the arms up. Lift the torso up. Inhale. Exhale. Extend. Come down into just a comfortable place and extend the upraised arm up and the down-facing arm down. Turn the hips into the lateral plane. If you like, you can turn and look up past your upraised thumb. Then inhale and come up. Turn your feet and step your feet back together. Okay. So now just watch for a moment. I'm going to do the pose, and you want to kind of watch the side angle version of this. So I've turned the right foot out, the left foot is in just a bit. The center line of the midline of my right foot, even though I'm doing the opposite of what I'm saying, if you draw a line, it will cut right into the center here of the back, of the arch of the back foot. So then we tighten this kneecap into the thigh and we externally rotate it. Now we don't want to lift the big toe. See, when I externally rotate that, that big toe wants to come up. So I need to put it back down. I do that a lot. I forget, and that big toe kind of comes up. So you want to keep this rotated and keep the big toe down, and then you want to bring this thigh and hip back again. So it's hard. So then I bring the arms up, and then I come into the pose. So now I'm working in all those details, but then this hip wants to come forward. And I want to keep this back. And I want to steer the hip. So I want to take the center of the left, well, the center of the right buttock forward and the left pelvic bone back. But really what we're doing is we're turning the sternum. We're steering the hips so that if you are looking at the side view, we may start this way, but then we want to steer the hips so that I almost disappear into that lateral plane. So that's the idea. Okay. Come to your Trikonasana. Long and wide across the soles of the feet and the heels. Ball mounds. Extend the heels down. Weight centered over the heels. Internal rotation with the skin and muscles of the thighs. Big toenails extending down. Torso lifts up, chest open. Bring the fingertips up. Separate the hands and feet widely. Turn that right foot out all the way. Turn the left foot in. See that the midline of the right foot extended back will cut right through the middle of the arch of the back foot. Tighten both kneecaps into the thighs. Externally rotate that right thigh so the kneecap points at the foot. Keep that big toe mound down as you bring this hip and thigh back. So you have to have an opening up through the hips and thighs, pelvis. Bring the arms up. Inhale. Exhale, extend and come down into the pose. And now, twist. Go back to that Trikonasana twisting we were doing. Turn the spine, spiral the spine from the tailbone right up through to the crown of the head. And as you do that, then you look up and past your thumb. Now, if you have neck issues, just look down. It's fine. To keep the spiraling of the spine. Now, steer the hips. Take that right hip back in the center of the left. Take the left hip back in the center of the right buttock forward. So you're really turning the sacrum, the right side of the sacrum forward, the left side back. And now really expand through the arms. Take up as much space in the pose as you can. Utthita Trikonasana. Inhale and come up. Turn the feet through to the left. Square up the hips and shoulders, facing forward. Kneecap firm into the thigh. External rotation, pointing at the foot. Big toe stays down, hips and shoulders squared up. Inhale, exhale, extend, come down into the pose. Again now, keeping the legs really firm and extended. Keeping that little toe edge of the back foot firmly into the floor. Keeping the left big toe mound on the floor. Now steer the hips. Center of the left buttock forward. Right hip back. Disappear into that lateral plane. And then fully expand and extend through the arms and take up all the space you can as you spiral the spine from the tailbone right through to the crown of the head. Utthita Trikonasana. Inhale and come up. Turn your feet. Step the feet back together. It feels so good to do a pose like that well. You know, it's hard, but it just feels to me like the energy just releases and just opens up when you do it. There's a lot of detail. So take a few breaths. Then I'm going to have you watch again to add another couple of elements to think about in the pose. So I'm in the pose. Now, trying to do all the things that I've been talking about, but I want to focus on a couple more. One is this thigh moves toward the back foot. So you want to move it toward the back foot. And at the same time then, you want length and energy moving here. So you're taking the armpit chest away from that thigh. So as this thigh moves toward the back foot, the armpit lengthens away from that thigh. So you see you get a real extension here. So here it's easy to get the extension. Here we tend to get a little slouchy, but no slouchy. We want to be really extended. And we do that by taking this thigh back and the armpit forward. And as you do that, then you get more space to turn the spine. So there we go. Okay. Tadasana. Fingertips up. Separate hands and feet widely. Turn that right foot out, left foot in. Midline bisects the arch of that back foot. Little toe edge of the back foot firmly down. Big toe mound firmly down. Kneecap firm into the thigh. External rotation so the kneecap points at the foot. Hips and shoulders facing forward. Arms up. Inhale. Exhale. Extend and come into the pose. Now, the little toe edge of the back foot firm. The forward foot, big toe mound firm. Kneecaps firm into the thighs. Steer the hips. Turn into that lateral plane. Spiral the spine. Now, take that thigh and move it back toward the back foot. Lengthen the armpit, chest away from that thigh. So we're really extending the spine. And then spiral the spine. Look up if your neck is okay with it, and then disappear into that lateral plane. And take up space in the forward part, the front part of the body, and the back part. But from the side, you can't be seen. Inhale and come up. Turn the feet through to the left. Square up the hips and shoulders. Inhale. Exhale into the pose. Kneecaps firm into the thighs. Bisecting that back foot arch. External rotation on that extended left foot, left knee, thigh. Take this thigh toward the back foot. Lengthen the armpit away from the left thigh. Spin, spiral the spine. Steer the hips. Lengthen the spine. Again, thigh toward the foot, armpit forward, lengthening the spine, adding to your space for turning into the twist, and then turn and look up and past your upraised right thumb. Inhale, come up. Turn the feet to face forward. Step the feet back together. Take a few breaths. And we'll do triangle pose one more time to each side. This time, no talk. We'll just do it. Take a nice upright, extended Tadasana. Fingertips out to touch. Separate the feet, arms widely. Turn the right foot out, the left foot in. Inhale, exhale, Utthita Trikonasana. Inhale, come up. Turn through to the left. Inhale, exhale, Utthita Trikonasana. And inhale and come up. Turn the feet. Step the feet together. Let's separate the feet and just take a comfortable standing forward bend or some other comfortable rest pose. Okay, and inhale, come back up. And then we'll take a seated posture, and we'll do a little pranayama, and then we'll go into Shavasana. So have what you want for Shavasana nearby. And set up what you need for a comfortable cross-legged seated posture. Okay, so when you're in your seated posture, we want to have it just as we went through all those details in the triangle pose, you could do probably just as many seated like this. But for now, we want to grip the skin muscles of the buttocks, separate the buttocks, separate the sit bones. So you're really sitting very alert on the sit bones, and the pelvic floor is open to or touching the floor itself. As in triangle pose and pretty much every other pose, well, not every pose, but most, we want that torso lifting, the chest open. We don't want any slouchiness. You want to look for any kind of slouchiness, any spaces where there's some lack of energy or some congestion or resistance. Try to seek those out. And then what I find is that when I can see it visually in a student in a class or in myself, you don't necessarily want to go right to the spot that's rounded. Like if you can see kind of where towards my upper back now, I'm allowing it to round. The idea isn't to focus on the space where it's rounded, but rather in the space above and below. This is how I find that I can get the openness, because I want to lift the space above that roundness and extend down with the space below it. So then I've made space, and I can allow that area of resistance to open up into the space that I've made. So anyway, an idea. So we'll do Ujjayi Pranayama. I'm going to go ahead and give the full holds, all of the details of it. So for people who may be watching this recorded version, if you're unfamiliar with it, one, don't force yourself, just be completely at ease. If you find yourself uncertain about what you're doing or agitated, just return to normal, comfortable breathing. You can just listen and watch and start to get the hang of it, or just not do it all. Just breathe comfortably in and out the nose. So the main options that we use with the mudras, the hand positions, are either Jnana Mudra, where the tip of the index finger and thumb touch, and the other fingers extend out, and then we have the palms open and facing more or less up. Or you can have your palms overlapping in this sort of Vipassana Buddhist sort of state. There are others as well, but those are the two that we'll work with today. Keeping the spine erect, keeping a lot of the work we did with the torso in triangle pose involved here, where you've got the lift, you've got the kind of this openness, the armpit chest lifts. There's a whole set of things we could talk about, which we won't have time to now, but another night. We keep the torso lifted, the chest open. Lift the collarbone, the chest up, and take the chin toward the collarbone. Don't force it, but move them together toward each other, eyes closed. Breathe quietly, calmly in and out the nose. Keep the face, the sinuses, the nose completely calm. The movement of the breath is controlled entirely by the expansion of the chest and the movement of the diaphragm. So there's no using the muscles of the face and the nostrils to inhale or exhale. That stays completely calm. You want to focus the breath really on the base of the back of the throat. So as the breath comes in with the inhale, the first place it touches, ideally, is the base of the back of the throat. And then as you exhale, the last place it touches is there. You don't even feel it coming through your nose, either way. And in that space at the base of the back of the throat, you draw the front of the throat toward the back of the throat. There's a little restriction or intensification there that causes the sound of the breath to be amplified. So it has that sound of a Darth Vader sound inside your head. So now inhale, full breath, expand the chest. Exhale, fully exhale. And now inhale, lift, open, expand the chest. Hold the breath. So those who know it, engage Mula Bandha. That's a little contraction at the very center of the perineum. A little lifting of the pelvic floor. Now keep that Mula Bandha as you exhale. Exhale fully and hold the breath again. And now add Uddiyana Bandha, where you draw the navel back and up into the chest. Release those bandhas. Inhale. Lift, fill, expand the chest. Hold the breath. Engage that Mula Bandha, that contraction of the pelvic floor, the lifting of the pelvic floor. Keep that Mula Bandha as you exhale. Completing the exhale, add the Uddiyana Bandha. Draw the navel back and up. Release the bandhas. Inhale. Hold. Engage Mula Bandha. Keep Mula Bandha as you exhale. Hold. Add Uddiyana Bandha. Release the bandhas. Inhale. Hold. Engage Mula Bandha. Keep Mula Bandha as you exhale. Hold. Engage Uddiyana Bandha. Release the bandhas. Inhale. Continue on your own as best you can, using the holds and the bandhas as you feel comfortable. After your next hold, after exhale, return to normal breathing. And then as you're ready, go ahead and stretch out on your back into Trikonasana. And then allow the feet and legs to roll out away from each other. Allow the pelvis to settle into the floor, the buttocks to settle into the floor, the torso, the shoulders, the hands and arms release into the floor. The back of the head balanced comfortably, evenly, symmetrically. The weight released into the floor, the neck and the throat completely at ease. Soften the jaw. Soften the tongue, the teeth, the lips, the corners of the mouth. Locate the space that you think of as your inner ear. Soften, release that space, quiet that space. Release any tension or effort across the brow, around the eyes. Let the eyes settle down into their sockets. Have a sense even of the front brain settling down into the back brain. Complete softness there. Let the whole weight of the body just release into the floor. Let the breath move to a very quiet, possibly even still space. All right, then take a few deeper breaths and bring awareness back into fingers and toes. Let your eyes open. Bring your hands to your abdomen or torso. One leg at a time, bend your knees, feet on the floor. And then roll to your side, preferably right side. Stay curled up here for a few breaths. When you come up, keep your neck soft. Bring the crown of your head up last. So use a little arm strength and gently push up to a seated posture. All right. Thank you for coming to class, video, remotely. Namaste.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.